¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kan du norsk?
If you've heard that sound from Babbel before, I bet you do. Babbel is the science-backed language learning app that actually works. With quick 10-minute lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts, Babbel gets you on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. With over 16 million subscriptions sold and a 20-day money-back guarantee, just start speaking another language with Babbel. Right now, up to 55% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/Spotify podcast. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify podcast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. From the co-director of Shrek and the visionary behind Toy Story comes Spellbound, a magical new animated adventure starring Rachel Zegler, John Lithgow, Jennifer Lewis, Nathan Lane, and Titus Burgess with Javier Bardem and Nicole Kidman. When a powerful spell turns her parents into monsters, Princess Elian must journey into the wild to reverse the curse before it's too late. Watch Spellbound only on Netflix November 22nd.
Support for this podcast comes from CDTA, The Eagle, a Times Union podcast driven by CDTA. I think it's fair to say that for many people in America, political news has flooded daily life in the last week. Depending on how you're feeling right now, though, you may be energized by it, or you may need a break from reality. Either way, we got you. I'm Jessica Marshall. If you want to stay updated with all of the latest news about government and politics, head over to timesunion.com's New York State section or subscribe to the Capitol Confidential newsletter. You'll get breaking stories and exclusive analysis delivered right to your inbox. And if you're like, nah, I need a break from politics, do listen on to this episode. We're going to dive into some folklore now. We're going to talk about a myth, a legend, a subculture across the United States and Canada and beyond. We're talking about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Wendigo, Yeti, Yowie, whatever you call it, it's a pervasive pop culture creature, a forest-dwelling man-beast whose existence has never been proven, but never really disproven either. A growing group of people in New York's Hudson Valley are dedicated to finding the truth. Times Union reporter Maria Silva recently connected with the Bigfoot researchers of the Hudson Valley, and she ended up on a hunt for the beast herself. She joins me now to talk about the experience.
Now you know they're not going to harm you because they would have if they wanted to.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you're safe.
I say that was the mama.
What was your understanding of what Bigfoot was going into this? And did it change after you met with these folks?
Yeah, so my understanding of Bigfoot is pretty much the understanding that everyone has of Bigfoot, this lone creature that, is very elusive.
I'm envisioning like the guy from Harry and the Hendersons, like a kind of, or Chewbacca, like an ape-like kind of man creature.
Yes, yeah. But, when meeting with this group, I realized, this group has a different understanding of what this creature looks like, behaves like. They believe that this is a creature that lives in clans or families. There are different types. They vary in appearance, in size. Some of them are more human or monkey-like. Some of them come in different colors. They range from 6 to 15 feet tall in areas like Alaska, from what the group told me. It's a different understanding of that creature, famous creature that's so embedded in pop culture and that we all sort of think about automatically when we think of Bigfoot.
See, the problem is people don't want to talk about it. At first, I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Because they think you're crazy. You're making this stuff up.
Maria's adventure with the Bigfoot researchers of the Hudson Valley began in Claverack, New York, a small town in Columbia County. That's where she met Gail Beatty, the group's founder. Gail says she had an encounter in the woods as a teenager in the 1960s that she's never been able to shake.
This happened when she was a teenager. She went out camping in Stissing Mountain because her parents had grounded her and she was mad and wanted to get away for the night.
So it started to get dark, and I'm alone up there, and I wasn't afraid. I never even knew of Bigfoot, never heard of it. And so all of a sudden I hear this owl. It sounded like it was above me in the tree, but didn't sound like a normal owl. It was really loud, and like at the end it sounded weird. So I'm like, oh God, okay, it's just an owl. Don't be scared, Gail. It's not gonna hurt you. And then a few seconds later, the most god-awful, unearthly yell, scream, howl, like it vibrated my chest. And it was unearthly, like no animal like a bear or a mountain lion or anything. It just was unearthly sounding. And I felt myself, the blood drain, and I thought I was going to be killed. I said, whatever this is going to kill me if I just sit in this little tent.
For years, she didn't hear that, but the sound kind of remained in the back of her mind, always that question of what was that thing that scared me to death, when I was out camping in the woods. But she didn't actually hear that sound again until 2011. She told me she was washing dishes in the kitchen and the show Finding Bigfoot was playing in the background. And they were playing, some sounds, some Sasquatch calling sounds. And she said that's when the familiar sound, she heard that familiar sound again. And she kind of had this epiphany of like, that's what was on the mountain. Like it all clicked for her in that moment. And that's when she began Googling Bigfoot sightings in her area in Dutchess County, and she began seeing all these reports of Bigfoot sightings and people who had paranormal experiences in her area. And that's kind of how, what motivated her to start this group and this mission.
Yeah. And, obviously, as you said, part of their mission is to kind of not hunt for Sasquatch because they're not trying to kill it, but like to go out and see if they can find more evidence of its existence, right? And you went with them on one such hunt, right?
Yes. The idea was to go there and meet with the members and talk about the group. And I was very interested in the community part of this group. These are people that before finding themselves, they were, pretty much strangers and, so I was very interested in that finding the community part to the story. But, eventually Gail told me and the photographer, there's another group member. She's a pretty new group member who recently had some experiences in her property in Claverack in Columbia County. Let's go and talk to her and see what we can find. So we drove 20 minutes to Claverack to Patricia Kipp's property.
My son had to put a camper in the back there. Mm-hmm. So I went back there to visit him, and I'm sitting in the chair, and I just happened to look into the woods. All of a sudden, I see this black head come up. What is this back here? And it didn't have a snout. It didn't have ears that came out or up. And a bear would not stay around anyway. Even if it had cubs, it would get the cubs and be out.
Right.
So I watched it for a while, and I tried to get my son's attention, but his girlfriend was talking to him, and I couldn't get through without yelling. And of course, I didn't have my phone with me.
Yeah.
So that was kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
It ducked down, nice and easy, and then it come back up again and looked. But it wasn't a human, because a human, I don't think would do that, And like I said to Gail, it's very odd.
Oh, wow. There's a visual.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, you didn't find Sasquatch on your hunt, right? But
Unfortunately, he was very elusive. That's his reputation.
Yes, exactly. So what is this group kind of going to do going forward? Do they just keep kind of looking for evidence of the truth being out there kind of thing? Or do they have any, very concrete plans for the future?
Yeah, so they do meet regularly and they're open to everyone. This group gets new members all the time, or just people who are interested in this and not necessarily stick around. They may invite, other different people to go on their investigations. They also give like presentations at local libraries, and they were at the Sasquatch Calling Festival in Whitehall this past September.
The Sasquatch Festival in Whitehall draws thousands of people every fall. The main event is a contest to see who can do the most accurate Sasquatch call. It's been going on for years. There have been documentaries and news stories. ESPN even did a short documentary on it a few years ago.
The festival is headlined by a main event, where contestants from all over the country don't just embrace Sasquatch, they call Sasquatch. The objective? To summon your inner Sasquatch.
An alleged Bigfoot sighting in the woods there by some kids and cops in 1976, that's what started the small Adirondack town's obsession with the myth. And today, it sees itself as a sanctuary for Bigfoot. It's actually illegal to hunt Sasquatch there. And it's that same collective spirit that keeps the Hudson Valley group going strong.
The thing about this story, beyond whether we believe that Bigfoot exists or not, I think the important thing to take away from this is these are people that didn't know each other before and, got connected through a common interest, a common, obsession of them. And they've been hanging out together for, months and in some cases years. They've become really, really close. It felt to me when I visited that this is a very tight-knit group that has each other's backs, that supports each other, that they call each other, for, these are some of the reports I received this week. And it just felt to me that this was a nice community and finding of community through a common interest that a lot of people don't have. One of the members, he said that he lost his wife 7 years ago, and this was something for him to do. And I thought that was nice. That was very beautiful to find your crew, find your group of people that you can trust and rely on.
Yeah, so even if you never uncover hard proof that there's a Sasquatch in existence, you still have this wonderful sense of community.
Absolutely, yes.
So I'm not out to prove to the world that they're here, because I know they're here. We all do. So we just basically, for our own curiosity, it's nice to find a tracker, tree structure, and teepee structures, and it's nice just to be in the woods and enjoy nature.
Have you ever seen Bigfoot? I haven't. And if it's real, I'm not sure I want to. I once came face to face with a bear in the woods. That was enough for me. That's it for this week. The Eagle is a production of the Times-Union. It's produced and edited by myself, Jessica Marshall, with help from the Times-Union digital team and the newsroom. Our music is Flyin' by Top Floor. Special thanks to Maria Silva for her contributions to this episode. Questions or comments? Email us at podcast@timesunion.com. Support for this podcast comes from CDTA, The Eagle, a Times-Union podcast driven by CDTA.